Now let's look at area and perimeter. Some of these you have seen before, and you can also use your formula sheet that is given to you in your notes. This will also be given to you on your assessments and on the SOL. Looking at the first example, you're given a rectangle. So over here to the left, you want to go to your formula sheet, find the rectangle, and you want to write down your formulas. For example, to find the area, it's going to be length times width. To find the perimeter, it's going to be 2 times length plus 2 times width. Remember your order of operations here? You have to do your multiplication first prior to adding them together. So let's find the area of this shape. And it does help if you label your answer or label your sides. So for example, my length is my 9 millimeters, or my width is my 3.5. So when I go to write this down, you want to write your formula first, plug in your values, and now you can multiply. One of the most important things here, you also have to show your work. And because you are stating millimeters times millimeters, your answer, your units, is always going to be squared. So the area equals 31.5 millimeters squared. To find perimeter, P equals 2L plus 2W. So 2 times 9 plus 2 times 3.5. Again, follow order of operations. So you're going to get 18 plus 7, which is going to give you 25. And since perimeter, it's just the sum of all the sides, it's just going to, your unit is just going to be whatever your unit is. In this case, 25 millimeters. You will not get full credit unless you have those units on the back of your answer. Looking at a triangle in example 2, find your triangle on your formula sheet. You can only find you only need a formula for the area of a triangle, which is 1/2 base times height. So when I come back here, the area of my formula is 1/2 base times height. You just need to know that the perimeter is adding up all the sides. So you're going to say, to find the perimeter of it, side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3. So to find the area of the triangle, write down your formula first. Yes, you need to write down the formula. Plug in your values. Your base is the bottom of the triangle. Your height is going to be going straight up from your base. So the example given on your formula sheet here, your base is the bottom. Your height, notice, goes straight up from the base. It creates that 90-degree angle. So 1/2 times 6 times 2. Go left to right. 1/2 of 6 is 3 times 2 is 6. You are finding the area. Area is always squared. To find the perimeter, remember it's just side 1 plus side 2 plus side 3. So you have 6 plus 8 plus 2, which is going to be 16 kilometers. Looking at a square, go back to your formula sheet, find your square. Here's your square. So your perimeter is 4 times s, because you're just adding all your sides together and they're all the same length. So instead of saying side plus side plus side plus side, in this case, because it's a square, you can say 4 times s, or area is side squared. So area is side squared, which remember is side times side. Perimeter is 4 times s. So this would be 3.5 squared which is 12.25 centimeters squared. Area is always squared. Perimeter, write down your formula, which is 4 times s, so 4 times 3.5. So perimeter is equal to 14 centimeters. Going back to your formula sheet, let's find your circles. So here's my circle. A few things you need to know about a circle. Your diameter goes all the way across from cutting through the center, where your radius goes from the center to the side. It's half of your diameter. So to find the circumference, which is similar to the perimeter, you can use either one of these formulas, where the area you have to use pi r squared. So when I go to write the formulas down, area is going to be pi r squared. Perimeter, you can use 2 pi r, which is also the same as pi d, because if you multiply the radius by 2, you get the diameter. So to find the area, write down the formula. For pi, you will always use 3.14. Your radius is your diameter divided by 2. So I'm going to take 4 divided by 2, and then that is squared. Remember, GEMDAS tells us to do your exponents first. So 2 squared is 4. Now 4 times 3.14 is 12.56 millimeters squared. Now looking at the circumference of the circle. Circumference is basically the perimeter, because you're trying to figure out how long your circle is. So if you use the formula 2 pi r, write down your formula. Remember, pi is going to be 3.14. Your radius in this case is 2. When I multiply left to right, I get 12.56 millimeters. Circle your answer. You could have also done pi times diameter, because that is your radius times 2. Let's look at when the difference is to use the area and the perimeter. Perimeter is any time you're trying to figure out how far the distance around something, where area is when you're covering. So in the first example, a football field is rectangular in shape with a length of 120 yards and a width of 54 yards. What is the distance around the football field? So that would be perimeter. To find this, you would write your formula, which is of a rectangle, 2 times length times 2 times width. Now plug in your work. The length is 120 plus the width, which is 54. GEMDAS states that we multiply before we add. So 240 plus 108, which equals 348 yards. In example 6, Mr. Kimlack needs to purchase a new rug. Each side is 8.5 feet. since it says each side is 8.5 feet, you know you're dealing with a square. How much floor space will the rug cover? Cover is going to be area. So the formula for a square is side squared. So 8.5 squared is going to give you 72.25 feet squared. Remember, to square something, you multiply it by itself. So 8.5 times 8.5. Last example, what is the perimeter of a triangle if the base is 5 inches and each of the legs are 10 inch? So here's the base at 5 inches, then it tells you each of the legs are 10 inches. You're finding perimeter, or you just add all the sides together. So it'd be 10 plus 10 plus 5. So the perimeter is going to be 25 inches. Last example is going to be in the bottom right. Number 12. Miss Mulchaney is baking a cake for Miss Dennis. The cake has a radius of 6.7 inches. Remember, radius is halfway across the circle. How big will the cake plate she needs to set it on have to be? You're talking about the cake is covering the plate. So this is going to be area. Write down the formula of pi r squared. Plug it in. 3.14 times 6.7 squared. GEMDAS states that we do our exponents first. .7 squared is 44.89 times 3.14 is going to be 140.95 inches squared. Unless otherwise stated, round to the nearest hundredth. Finish the page, then check your answers. Check your answers with the following problems. If you have any questions, ask your teacher.